Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, as I smash my face into my microphone. Sorry. Hi, it's Dawn here, joined by Joey from the Underage Packers podcast. Is it underaged or underage?
Underage with without that last T.
Okay, so it's not past tense. Awesome. So you can always be underage. Okay, sorry. Yeah. I divert. And my trusted partner, Joey, Matt Pickett, as we await the next games next week where we're on a bye. Yay.
Love it.
Yay, R&R. So how was your week, Joey? Welcome. How are you doing this week?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. I'm so glad, this is such a unique podcast to be on, I feel, just because, I've done a show or two, but I just like what you guys do, not only when you have a guest on, but just people being able to tell their story, like just creators, because, a lot of times with an interview or when they're on a podcast, they don't really get to tell that story, even if it's not really a super inspiring one, but just like how they became a Packers fan and when they started creating all that stuff. So I'm glad to be on this great show, and I thank you guys for having me on.
Thanks for being here, Joey. It's really cool having you.
For sure.
Oh, welcome. It's our privilege. And Maddie, how are you feeling? How are you feeling this week? How was your week?
Good. Classes started at UC this week, so it's been a really busy week for the advising community at UC, with all the students making last minute changes to their schedules and all the fires that kind of come with that. But it's going to be real quiet next week as we settle into the semester. So I'm doing good. Kids went to remote schooling this week because of just staffing shortages with the Omicron, but we've been weathering that pretty well. So yeah, I'm doing all right.
Good to hear it.
And Dawn, how are you?
Sitting here all toasty, wearing my shawl.
Ooh.
That's just a little shout out to my bestie, Sarah, from the Wednesday Packaday podcast.
Your bestie, Sarah Keller.
Private joke. Our very first guest on our show. So,
friend of the show, Sarah Keller. That's right.
Nothing wrong with the shawl, but I am old. So I thought that was hilarious. Whoever that was, Dusty and Steve. Yeah, it was a blanket in her case. It's just a joke in my case. So Joey, how do you feel about the heading into the playoffs at Lambeau? I know that's not next week yet, but how are you feeling about that whole?
I am so excited. I mean, first of all, I can't believe we're already at the playoffs. It goes by quicker and quicker every year, the NFL season. But truly, I feel like ever since the 2020 and 21 season for the Packers has kind of just merged into just one whirlwind for me, at least, of just crazy epic games week in and week out. So to be here, we got our opportunity again, first seed once again. And I just really hope we can get it done this year, obviously. And that would make all of the past playoff losses of the past 10, 11 years all worth it.
Good.
Absolutely. And I'm excited about this weekend for not having to play, of course. So there's that the lack of stress, and that's 2 weekends in a row not having to have that kind of stress, which is nice. And on top of that, just a bunch of really good games coming up that I'm really looking forward to just watching and enjoying. So really excited about playoffs coming here. How about you, Dawn?
So excited. It's going to be at Lambeau. Love seeing the photographs. I think they posted today with the divisional in the center. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was
that got me excited.
Some Lambeau Field thirst trap stuff right there.
You gotta love that. Oh. Yeah, let's do it this year. Either way, I'm having a great time this season. I'm along for the ride. Everything in the moment, not get ahead of ourselves too much.
I've been trying, on that note, I've just been trying to take Aaron Rodgers' words of wisdom of just living in the moment. And I'm they're not playing this weekend,
Right.
but just like appreciate this moment right now, this moment at 8:55 here on January 13th, that the Packers season is still alive. And
Yes.
I'm just grateful for that right now.
That's right. That's the way to go. And I cannot, I mean, if you get too far ahead of yourself or too far behind living in the past, a lot of people do that, unfortunately.
Mhm.
It's bad for them because it's never a good thing if you're living in the past. I mean, maybe if it's really a great past, but whatever. Hey, so Joey, so you mentioned that you enjoy our format. So how about let's get to it? Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Sure, let's do it.
I've got a few. Okay, first of all, I'm referring to your, what's your Twitter bio? And I didn't paste it. I took a screenshot on my phone. I forgot. So and I have a word for a Twitter bio. What is my word for that, Matt?
Well, your word for a Twitter thread is a Vine, but do you have one for the Twitter bio? Do you have a word for that?
Yeah, Twitto.
Twitto. You're Twitto.
I just make up words. Okay, so your bio. Erin Rodgers once saw one of my videos and described it as good stuff.
Yes.
And you are the co-host at Underage Packers. By the way, shout out to our Big B. Hello, Big B.
For sure.
We love you, Big B.
Oh, and you're from St. Louis, which I was surprised by. And I don't know why, but I did. And by the way, if anyone hasn't seen that little montage that you did last season? My God, It seems like 100 years ago. That was so fun.
Outstanding. Just outstanding.
So, hey, Joey, so you're a co-host of a podcast and you're 16 years old. That's pretty impressive.
It is. And so I don't mean to brag, but like I just coming from where we were, where me and Big B started, and I don't know if we'll get to this later, like on just where we started, why we started the podcast, but like just coming from where we started, of your typical what you might think two teenagers starting a podcast might look and sound like, just coming from there, and then the production that we put up now, I'm impressed with ourselves. So it is pretty crazy and surreal.
We're impressed too. And so how long have you had your podcast? So you're 16 now. How old were you when you started?
So we started it before the draft of 2020. And it was kind of a quarantine project, I guess you could say, just because me and Big B were home from school and we just had a bunch of free time on our hands. And so, yeah, I was 15 and we were previewing a draft where the Packers would take Jordan Love. And, you know, the funny thing about that is that me and Big B, in that first episode, we just had the foresight where we had somewhere in our script, we got to talk about the possibility of Green Bay drafting a quarterback. We talked about Jordan Love and we talked about it for like a whole 5 minutes. And we both, I think Big B agreed that it's not the year, but I said, hey, you know, if they like somebody who's on the board, why not take them?
You manifested it. That's amazing.
That's even triple impressive. I know. I felt like I was one of the few people out there that heard Matt LaFleur say, well, there's always a possibility that we draft a new quarterback, not a new quarterback, but a quarterback this year. I was like, did no one else hear that? Because people really flipped out. Anyway, that's so cool. I did not realize that because I've been following you. I probably followed you from the beginning then.
Yeah, I remember just seeing your profile picture in my notifications sometimes.
Yeah, you're like, who's this person? So I think I heard about you either from Nagler's, one of Nagler's or Grossi's live stream. And I was like, who's the Big B guy? Because Big B and because Grossi shouts out his people who are live chatting and stuff like that. So yeah, and I was impressed. I was like, oh, how cool is that? 2 kids doing a podcast. And I just wanted to support you. That's all, because we all need all the support we can get. But when you're younger, I think that's great. You must have some pretty cool parents. How did they feel about this?
Yeah. So I mean, my dad, my mom. Okay, so you kind of had to explain a little bit here. So my mom, she doesn't care too terribly much about the Packers. She cares that we like them, and she has like number one Packers mom shirt or whatever.
Aw.
But my dad, he's the main reason why I am a Packers fan. So he listened to like a few episodes especially when I told him we'd be having Tom Grossi on, and he thought, "Whoa, this is a big deal here." So,
Yeah.
but I'd always just been like, ever since I was 9, 8, really, I had made YouTube videos. Like I'd literally at 9 years old put my iPad on a little reclining chair and record my TV of me playing Minecraft and commentating it. So I'd always just like doing something on my computer, creating YouTube videos. So he wasn't too surprised that I wanted to do something like this and just like, and have the knowledge, I guess, like the interest in the Packers to do this. And he's just kind of like listened to every episode since, and just like I like supported obviously, but just enjoyed the guests I've had on too, we've had on. So it's been fun.
Well, hi, Dad. Well, I shouldn't say hi, Dad, because I'm probably old enough to be his mother. But hi, Grandma. Hi, how about Grandma and Grandpa? Do they listen?
No, I don't know if my grandpa would know how to work a phone.
Oh.
Get to Spotify.
My mother, seriously, when YouTube was just starting, and my mom is 85 now. Super tech savvy, and she I swear she put out like one of the first YouTubes ever of her garden. Not kidding you. And she is really something else, and she's always like, "Oh, I just don't understand." I'm like, "Oh my God, you understand." Trust me. 85 years old, she's awesome that way. So you never know. But yeah, some people just after a certain age and not they're afraid of it or something,
right?
Like yeah. So anyone a little bit older out there, just give my mom a call. She'll walk you through it. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, hi, Dad, and we really love this, and I'm sure they felt like, I mean, if I didn't have children, but I didn't have children. One reason is I would have been too overly protective. I would have been like, "No, you're not having a YouTube video, and no, you're not putting your face out there for the public to see." So. Yeah, it must be a little scary. So you're really a natural, Joey. And I love, like, you a couple of weeks ago were at Lambeau and you were out there.
That was awesome.
The crowd, interviewing the crowd. So do you think you're going to do something with this? And I mean this in a very, wherever you want to take it, YouTuber, social media as a career? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to do a DIY thing? Where is this going? Because you are super talented.
I appreciate that. I've thought about this. I've lost many nights of sleep. I'm like, okay, this is great now, and I enjoy it. And it doesn't necessarily have to turn into anything more. But I definitely realize I have a strong interest in just like broadcasting, maybe not journalism because I hate writing, but broadcasting, just like getting in front of a camera, or even just like the behind the scenes type stuff of it. So I'd love to be a beat reporter for the Packers. Obviously, like, you can have this for a career, like whatever, a dream career. I think you can have it all built out in your mind. Like, oh, I'm going to go to this school, then magically this job is going to appear at this station. I'm going to work there. But then, like, sometimes they have to come back down to reality. Like, a lot of different things could change. So, right now, I'd love to do something like this, go to school for it, one day have a job in broadcasting or journalism, something like that. But also, like, one thing I consider, and I was talking about this with Rachel Hotmeyer when me and Big B had her on, I guess, a few weeks ago, of just like the admiration and respect I have for sports teams, local news channels reporters, because they have no idea where they are going to go, what team they're going to cover, what market they're going to go to. And genuinely, I don't know if I'd have any interest in this if it wasn't the Packers. Maybe a little bit in broadcasting journalism, but long-winded answer short. I definitely have a love for this, and I love dream would be to be a Packers beat reporter, I guess.
Working with Wes after Spoff
Absolutely.
retires someday. He was talking today on the Packers unscripted podcast about someday when he's older and there's some young whippersnapper in there, and I was like, well, it'll be Joey, of course.
He said whippersnapper. I just commented under their thing, and I'm like, you said he uses like old people terms that I don't even use.
I think Wes hangs out with old people. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Wes, if you are listening, I want to know if your great grandfather is your best friend. Because
And if so, that's cool. That's totally cool.
It's very cool. It's very cool. Or maybe it's like, I was thinking about that. It's like, I don't want to say anything more because it'll sound negative, and I don't mean it negative.
We love Wes.
But I was just wondering if it was more like farm life in the Wisconsin, where they are still a little bit more quaint.
Yeah,
I don't want to sound like that.
Quaint's a good word.
Wes,
Quaint's a good word. So.
It's quaint. It's cute. It's really adorable. Wes, you're adorable. I don't think he's that much younger than Spoff. Is he? That's funny. He said that though. I was listening.
Spoff's like in his deep into his 40s, maybe early 50s. I think. Do you know Joey?
Veteran.
What's
Spoff's
up?
A veteran. I know.
A veteran. Yeah.
Wes is too, but he started pretty young. But we.
Yeah. Well, Spoff is young compared to me. So.
There you go.
Everybody, you get to a point in your life where everybody's young. My grandmother told me it would happen, and it's happening. I love it though. I don't mind. I think it's great. And then it's also like people start looking alike. You think you met everybody. It's kind of weird. Yesterday I was taking the train home, and I swear to God, John Mulaney was my
I have that problem too. I don't know if this is what you're describing, but every time I see somebody that looks remotely like a celebrity, I'm convinced it's them. Like I'll go to my local Walmart and I'm like, oh my God, was that Matt Nagy?
Well, I was thinking, the thing is, we were chatting. I had like a 6-minute ride just from the village to here. It's not far. Mm-hmm. And I kept looking at him like, who does he look like? And then I was dealing, and then he's like, where's your ticket? And I didn't have it. And he said, don't worry, because I didn't have that. It's a long story. And so I kept looking at him and thinking, and then we're both wearing masks too.
That makes it a lot trickier.
And I'm walking off, and we're saying bye. And I look back, and I'm like, John Mulaney. You know who John Mulaney is? The train is stopped, and he's standing outside so the train can't go. And I'm like, do you know who John Mulaney is? And he's a comedian. That's who it is. And I thought he was going to stop there. But then he started chatting with me. He had his voice. He had his expressions. You know how he puts like, are you from Chicago? I walked away, and I'm like, he's doing research for a bit. This guy, this is John Mulaney, I swear.
You told him about John Mulaney. You totally met him today. It's amazing.
It was awesome. Okay,
Big
sorry. Okay, so I think let's go back. That's how we are. I'm sorry. Let's go back. So I don't think I asked you. So how did your dad's a Packer fan, but you live in Missouri. So tell us about that. What's going on with that?
Okay, so my dad grew up in Appleton with his family of
Nice.
7 siblings. I want to say 7 or 8 siblings. Grew up in Appleton. He was about 10 when the Packers won the first Super Bowl. I don't think he was watching, or his family was as big as fans of the team then. But then he moves down to St. Louis. I'm born, and really just it's in my blood. And if you don't root for the Packers in my household, you're you're sleeping out in the garage pretty much.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's why, even though I didn't like football for many years, when I finally started getting interested in football about a decade ago, it was like I had no choice. It had to be a Packer fan, even though I live out here in San Diego. So
because Don's from Racine.
I'm from originally. Yep. Born and college, and then I came out here. So I've been out here more than half my life. So yeah, and there are plenty of Packer fans out here in San Diego. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know when they played a game in San Diego a few years ago at that college soccer stadium, it was mostly Packers fans there.
Oh yeah,
I remember that. Yeah,
it's like that up in LA too. They go, they play even now, and whoever they play, there's more visitor fans. That it's always been that way with the Chargers. San Diego is really laid back. Like I had to close my windows right now because somebody's shaping the surfboard outside. You know, it's like that's what people care about, is what I mean.
Oh, that's such like a humble brag about living next to the ocean. Like this guy with his surfboard outside my window.
No. I'm just saying. I was actually annoyed because I'm like, what, is somebody doing construction or something? And I looked, and it's like he has a surf school. So not at all. It's just that's what people are interested. They're at the beach. Am I like hitting my microphone? Okay. I'm self-conscious because I didn't have it close enough. I was too quiet. Now I'm probably too loud. Okay, so that's very cool. And is there a team? There isn't a team in Missouri, is there?
Kansas City is it's on. I mean, it's on the opposite pole. I mean, you got like in the grand scheme of things, like Kansas City is the west pole of Missouri, and St. Louis is the east.
Okay, right. Duh. Okay, well, other than them.
Yeah.